Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews unboxing. Today we're looking at the latest Kill Team set, Termination. So first of all, I want to say massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us a free early review copy to have a look at on the site. In the video we're going to be checking out the box, see what comes inside, checking out the kill teams, and at the end of the video we'll have these built and painted so we can see what they look like in the flesh. So yeah, this is the latest set for the kill team in the Beta Decima story arc, I guess. A watery planet that the Gallodark has crashed into. And yeah, lots of fighting over gantries and stuff in this watery planet. And this box pits the Leagues of Votann against the Genestealer Cults. So yeah, interesting one. The Leagues of Votann getting a brand new kit in here with the Hernkyn Yaegirs, something like that, something dwarvish. They look really cool with the big trench coats and stuff. These are essentially the Pioneers, but on foot. So presumably there will be rules for these in 40k2, which is cool, new unit for them. And they're up against the Brood Brothers. So these are, if you're a Genestealer Cult fan, essentially Astra Militarum unit that's been infected with the Genestealer curse, I guess, if you want to call it that. We did see a previous upgrade frame for Brood Brothers, which was bundled in with a lot of kits back in the previous edition of the game. And it looks like we've got a similar thing here where we've got the stock kind of Astra Militarum infantry kit, then with a Genestealer Cults upgrade sprue that lets you do all the parts for your various operatives. And again, maybe these will see an updated profile in 40k2. In addition to that, it looks like we also get the sprue in here with all the various Genestealer Cults characters as well. So looks like it's going to be one of those kill teams where you've got kind of a few elite models and then lots of cannon fodder. Like with the previous box as well though, there's also some new scenery in here as well with these Termination plasma genitoriums. They look a lot bigger in the flesh than they do on the back of the box. They look like they're quite chunky, so looking forward to building them up. And again, like with the previous few boxes as well, we've got tokens and cards and all sorts in there. From the component side, these boxes are very, very good, the last few, so really excited to dig into this one and see what's here. This is £85, which is the same as the other ones, and obviously you get the supplement book in there as well. So without further ado, let's crack this open and have a look what is inside. So if we slide this open, like with the previous box, a big chunk of the kit is taken up with those new scenery pieces, and you'll see what I mean about them being kind of quite big. Put the bases to one side for now. But yeah, I think these are two identical frames that I then used to build the two generatorium things. Yeah, these look pretty cool. There's some cool kind of plasma coils you could do some nice lighting effects with, and I haven't got a model to hand. But yeah, if you say that's about model size, they're going to be quite kind of big and line of sight blocking. Again, one of the problems with this season has been the lack of access for the kind of scenery kit, the kill zone set that came with it. Unfortunately I've not managed to pick one up, so for this edition I'm having to kind of salvage and use other bits of terrain. But yeah, these look really, really nice. So there's new scenery kits in the box. We also get, let me have a quick look at this one, but this is the generic Genestealer Cults character sprue with the various characters on there, like the Magus, the Primus and the Brood Lord. So again, this is an older kit, this isn't new, but you do get one in here, which again is handy for a new Genestealer Cults player as well, because these are all units you're going to be using in your army anyway. So if we delve into the box a bit further though, first of all let's have a look at the new Leagues of Votann. So this is a brand new kit. It's not an upgrade frame or anything like the previous one. This is a brand new kit, and obviously there's a lot of parts on there too for building up your operatives. Now again, we'll have a look at the instructions in a little bit to see how they go together, but I always get excited when it's essentially a brand new bespoke kit rather than just an upgrade frame. They've done some really good things with upgrade frames, but I think you can kind of push it a little bit further when it's a brand new kit. And these look nice. A similar aesthetic to the Pioneers, but obviously they're on foot. They're not on their bikes. So lots of kind of like shotguns and power sword looking things. Yeah, Jay's going to be painting up these guys because he's our resident dwarf in the Sprues and Brews team. I'm going to be painting up the Genestealer Cults because I've got a big Genestealer Cult army, so I'm probably going to put these together in the same scheme as my existing army. But yeah, these are really nice. I am a fan of the old school squats, and I've always been tempted to dabble with the Leagues of Votann because, yeah, I think they're really cool. Hopefully they get another wave of models not too far off in the future. This obviously increases the models they've got already, but I think with a few more kits and a new codex, kind of rounds up the army, which would be cool. So yeah, that's the frame for them. We then get a normal Astra Militarum Cadian kit. So this is the same one that was released last year before, I forget now, with the recent refresh of that. So we have seen that before, but what is brand new is the upgrade frame. So like with a lot of other kill teams, we do get this full upgrade sprue that has all the components for the various operatives. Looks like there's a lot of heads on there too. So obviously some of these you might want to have looking more human than others. We'll see how it goes together. Some of the heads might be kind of unique to various operatives maybe. Nice shotgun and stuff on there too, and a sniper rifle. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to maximise the number of operatives I can make out of this kit. I think I've got a few Cadians kicking around, so if there's any operatives I can't make, I might be able to put them together. So yeah, so that is the plastics. Again, like with the last one, we get a really attractive kind of slip wallet where all the card materials sit in. Games Workshop have been trying to get rid of a lot of the kind of single-use plastic in their kits, and they've kind of resolved that by having shrink-wrapped kind of cards and books and stuff. They've been having these kind of cardboard slip cases, which is a really nice way of doing it, and I think they look really cool. So in here all your components live. So we've got cards for the kill teams. Again, we'll have a look at these in a little bit because we'll have a look at the profiles in the book later on, but you get the full kind of data slate cards in there. We get card packs for each of the kill teams too. So again, you have all your strategic ploys and your tactical ploys, your equipment, all of your kind of abilities and stuff on there, your faction tac ops, all the stuff. This is the kind of thing I wish that we'd had for every kill team since the start of it. Obviously they've course corrected a little bit and included them in this recent season, and I'm really glad they have, because I think that's a really cool thing that they've included. So one of them for each of the kill teams. That's not everything though, because we also get, if we slide out this, the assembly instructions, which we'll have a look at in a little bit, and the Kill Team Termination book we'll have a look at in full in the second half of the video. But each kill team also has their own bespoke token sheet as well. Obviously in the early days of Kill Team there was generic token sheets. These are quite cool because if they've got any kind of like faction specific abilities and the like, they can have tokens for them. It looks like we've definitely got some kind of like ping mechanic for these, so that's exciting. So really nice token sheets for each of the kill teams as well. And again, they can have them in their own kind of like army aesthetic, so I think that's a really nice touch. So they are cool. So before we jump to the future and have a look at the Kill Team Termination book in some kind of closer detail, we'll have a quick look at the assembly instructions, see if there's anything that we need to watch out for building these, and yeah, see kind of what combinations of models are available. So yeah, I really like those scenery pieces. It looks like they're going to be quite simple to put together, but quite effective. Right, now what is new is that they've included a full breakdown of all the various weapon options available. That is very cool. That is very cool. So yeah, previously you had to kind of like flick through back and forth to kind of see which ones you wanted to do. Where now on a single page you can see all the various options available. Now again, you only get 10 Cadians in this box, so there's going to be a lot of options here that you're not going to be able to build from a single kit, so you are probably going to want to have a look through the rules and see kind of your optimal loadout for your kill team that you want to bring. I suspect there's probably enough spare parts on that Genestealer frame. If you did have an extra Cadian sprue, you could probably build them, and worst case, if you've still got the old Genestealer upgrade frame, you'll be able to at least make your guys look a bit more Genestealer-y. But yeah, lots of weapon options here, so we'll have a look to see which ones are worth going for. I'm going to try and build all the unique Genestealer related stuff with this, and then obviously if there's any spare bodies, we'll then start kind of loading out the different weapon options and the like. But yeah, definitely one where you're going to want to work out what you're going to build. There are a lot of heads on the upgrade frame as well, so you are going to have enough heads to load out your whole kill team looking Genestealer-y if you want to as well, so that's a really nice touch too. But yeah, these are looking really cool. Icon Bearer, I think it's an obvious one that I'm going to take there. Yeah, it looks like each body has a unique kind of Genestealer Cult loadout and then some options from the standard kit. So if you are going to want to bring all of the various options, yeah, I think this is certainly one of those kill teams where you're probably going to want to pick up a second box of models here, just to be able to have all the loadouts. But yeah, they're looking really nice. I'm going to paint these up in my existing kill team colour, because it should slot in with the rest of my army then, which is nice. What's cool as well, they also call out the weapons on the models as well, so if you aren't sure what the weapon are in game, it's easier reflected. That's a really nice change, and I hope they do that in more kits going forward. We then have the squats, the Leagues of Votann, and again a full breakdown of all the weapon options there. Again, with this being a kind of like bespoke kit, there's potentially going to be a few more options within these as well, where you know you get 10 models and there's more than that in loadouts. But yeah, they look really, really nice. Looks like there's lots of kind of optional parts and poses and stuff on those as well. I like the little kind of crossbow, that's cool. But yeah, these are looking really cool. Like I say, Jay's going to be working on the Leagues of Votann, while I work on the Genestealer Cult, so yeah, excited to see what he does with them. And then finally, we've got the scenery piece itself. It looks like it's only in a few parts, so that should be really easy to build up and put together. And again, it should be quite easy to paint as well. Spray it up in a solid colour, and then sponge it, I think is going to be the way to go on that one. But yeah, that's a look at the assembly instructions. So what we're going to do now is dive into the Kill Team Termination supplement. So let's dive into the Kill Team Termination supplement and see what is contained in it. Now, if you played any of the recent Kill Team boxes, you'll know the format of these. It's essentially a codex for the two factions in the box, for want of a better word, filled with lore, rules for the kill teams, and then some gaming content too. Now, from a lore point of view, there's some quite interesting stuff in here. So, for the Leagues of Votann in particular, they see Tyranid bioships as a source of resources and materials. I guess, you know, the various materials and parts of a planet are broken down by these ships and used for constructing their high fleets and the Tyranid creatures. But obviously on the ships themselves, you've got a nice resource there of a planet broken down into its component parts. So the Leagues of Votann will often try and single off a single ship, lead it to a desolate planet somewhere, and then basically harpoon it and strip it for parts, which is an awesome idea from the lore. It's a great idea. You know, there's going to be all sorts of minerals and materials on those ships. Probably some horrific Tyranids on there too, but that's why you've got the Hernkyn on there to make sure that they're dealt with. Unfortunately, in the case of this story, their ship is shot down by planetary defence lasers because a Genestealer uprising happened on the on Beta Decima. So the Leagues of Votann end up crash landing on the planet and having to face the Genestealer cults before they can kind of ambush this Tyranid bioship that's probably headed towards the planet because the uprising's taking place. So really nice kind of lore tidbit there, and I hope we get more in the next Leagues of Votann Codex when that eventually comes out. Obviously we get all the nice artwork and all the lore related stuff in here as well for kind of narrative flair, as I've been able to roll up your different characters' names and their traits and all that side of things, which is really cool to see. So yeah, really fun. I believe this is probably the last book in this season, so there's no kind of like roundup to see what's happening to the planet afterwards, but I assume that after the events of this it just gets consumed by High Fleet Leviathan anyway. Whether there's another book in the next edition, the next season, that leads us off Beta Decima, I don't know at the minute, but I assume that this is the kind of final setting for this planet. Onto the kill teams themselves. Obviously we get the two in there. The first one are the Brood Brothers. These are your Cadians that have essentially been touched with the Genestealer gift. Multiple generations of various hybrids have kind of entrenched themselves into the organisation of the Astra Militarum, and you get these Brood Brother regiments that are essentially Genestealer cultists working for the Guard, which is pretty cool. From a gameplay point of view, their construction's a little bit different than most of the kill teams. So you get your commander and your 9 operatives, so far so normal. What mixes things up a little bit with these is they then get 3 additional picks from a sublist. So they can take 2 Psychic Familiars, and that counts as 1 selection there. So you can take 2 Psychic Familiars and 2 other choices. They can take a Magus, which counts as 2 selections. A Primus, which counts as 2 selections. The Patriarch, which counts as 3 and is ridiculously powerful, as we'll see in a little bit. You can take Brood Brother Troopers, and then you can also take some tactical assets as well. So Interference, Lookout, and Reinforcement. We'll see the rules for those in a little bit, but essentially you can mix and match those based on what you want to take. And the good thing with this box is obviously you get that sprue of the Genestealer characters. So you get the Magus, the Primus, the Patriarch, and the Psychic Familiars, and you can mix and match those in whatever combination that you want. So that's pretty cool. Now from a rules point of view, the Genestealer cults have got a crossfire mechanic. This is, I guess, similar in theme to how they were in previous editions of 40k, but basically if a Brood Brother shoots a target, that target gets a crossfire token, and then that crossfire token can be used by other friendly Genestealer cultists that shoot that unit in order to re-roll a dice. So you can set up your stronger weapons to be more effective by using your just basic cultists to shoot at them, to put the marker on there. Now there are quite a few ways within the list to put those crossfire tokens down. Some of the various operatives have ways of doing that for free without needing to even shoot them, so that's quite a cool mechanic. The tactical assets that we looked at earlier that you can pick as your supplemental choices depending on what you take with your gang. Interference, you select an enemy operative within Pentagon of a kill zone edge and you roll a d6. If you roll over their APL, you subtract their APL by 1. So that's pretty cool. Lookout, select an enemy operative. That operative and all enemy operatives within the circle gain a crossfire token. So like we said, we can put crossfire tokens on stuff ready for your units to re-roll their dice. And then Reinforcement lets you put a Brood Brother Trooper operative on the battlefield mid-game. So they're not part of your list. It's now you could just take those Trooper operatives as choices anyway. The advantage of this is being able to add them to the battlefield mid-battle. So, if you want to try and do some late game stuff, just drop another couple of troopers on. Could be pretty handy. I think I'll probably be taking a Patriarch or something because they're big and gribbly, but there's definitely cool to be able to bring a new trooper on mid-battle. Now their tac ops are suitably fitting for the Genestealer cults as well. You've got Clandestine Elimination, and basically that has you trying to take out an enemy operative without anyone else having line of sight to it, so kind of killing them in the shadows kind of vibe. So that's pretty cool. Militant leadership has your leaders basically accruing points based on the wounds they cause to enemy operatives. Once you hit 12, which is the threshold, you get a VP, and if your leader hasn't been incapacitated, you get an additional VP. That's pretty cool, especially if you take a patriarch or something that can just absolutely decimate gangs. They're going to be causing a lot of wounds, so that's a pretty easy one to get. And then meticulous planning has you doing a unique action, prepare for ascension on objectives, and then you basically have to have over half of the objective markers in order to start scoring for that. So again, it fits the theme, they're pretty nice. If we jump ahead and look at the operatives themselves, Brood Brother Commander's pretty cool. Again, assortment of weapons. He has got that really nice power weapon and claw, which has got lethal 5+, balanced and doing damage 4 or 6 on a crit. So he's pretty cool. What you want to take him for, though, is the ability to generate these crossfire tokens. So with his coordinated skill, once in each strategy phase, when it's your turn to use a strategic ploy, instead you can give an enemy operative a crossfire token, again allowing you to set up your more powerful weapons to re-roll dice and be more effective. The Agitator is an interesting one. So it can ignore the damage of a single hit on him, making him quite resilient, really. And in addition, if he's near to a target, anyone shooting at that target can spend a crossfire token without there needing to be one on him. So basically, if he's nearby somebody, other units get the benefit of crossfire without that target even needing to have a crossfire token on them. With it being Pentagon as well, it's a fair range, so if he can just lurk around people, your units are going to get the benefit of crossfire. Moving on to the Gunner, this is your basic kind of specialist weaponer. There's quite a few choices there for Flamer, Grenade Launcher, Melter Gun and Plasma Gun. And again, the Icon Ward is similar to other stuff we've seen with banners and the like. So while he's within range of an objective, nearby operatives treat the PL as being one higher for the purposes of controlling that objective. He's also got quite a cool ability, Broodmind Devotion, where Brood Brothers that are incapacitated near him are allowed to do a single action, which is pretty cool. So, your guys can get to safety or move around. They can't fight or do mind control, but that's really quite useful. The Brood Brother Knife Fighter does what it says on the tin. He's a knife fighter. He's pretty cool. He can charge out of a conceal order, and every time the enemy hits him, he deals a mortal wound back to him as well. So that's pretty cool as well. I quite like that guy. Medic is pretty much your basic medic. He can revive somebody who is incapacitated, or he can heal them. So they're kind of similar medic kind of abilities that we've seen in other warbands. The Sapper's really cool. He's your demolitions expert. He has got a short range demolition charge weapon. That's pretty good. But his main ability is being able to plant some explosives and then later in the game detonate them. When he detonates it, everything within circle takes 2d6 mortal wounds, so quite an effective explosion. What's really cool with this guy is that when he dies, he automatically detonates the explosives for a suitably cinematic moment, so he can plant those down, pull the plunger and just blow a big chunk out of the opposing kill team. So he's really cool. Sniper, your basic sniper, 3 mortal wounds, silence, what you'd expect. You then got your basic troopers, and then you've got your veteran. Now the veteran's quite cool. He ignores wounds dealt on a 5+, and he can use the unquestioning loyalty tactical ploy for free. Now that tactical ploy basically makes you shoot him rather than another target. And obviously with that 5+ wound strug makes him quite tanky of taking that fire. He's also got a pretty cool combat shotgun too, which I quite like. And then out of the normal operatives, we then get the Vox Operator. He, again, has similar mechanics that we've seen with other gangs. He can increase the APL of your fighters or reduce the group activation of a target fighter and have them fight last. So basically you can isolate a single target and they can't activate them until everything else has already activated them, giving them, giving your fighters good chance to take them out before they do something. So he's pretty cool. We then get the kind of special choices that you can take, 3 picks of, but they've got different values. The Psychic Familiars are pretty cool. They can, when they fall back, it's 1 action point less than they normally are, and they can do mission actions while they're in engagement range as well, and move over enemy fighters. So with a group activation of 2, these are quite good to kind of sneak around and do those kind of objective-based actions that they need to do. The Magus is very, very good. He gives your entire kill team a 5+ invulnerable save, and means that their APL cannot be negatively modified. There's no range condition on those. If you take him, that applies to everyone. So that's very, very cool. He's also got a couple of powers as well, one of which subtracts from the enemy APL, and the other one does 2 more wounds. You roll the dice, if it's over their APL, does another 2, and you keep going until you fail it, or you cause 8 mortal wounds. So that's got the potential of being really, really nasty. He counts as 2 choices, but you could take him and 2 Psychic Familiars, and that's still really good. I think the Magus is going to be a really popular choice, if only for this spiritual leader rule, kind of increasing the abilities of your kill team. The Patriarch's the big guy. He costs all 3 of your supplemental points, so if you are taking him, you're taking him alone plus the basic kill team. He is an absolute monster though. He's got a 4+ invulnerable save, his APL can't be modified, his APL is 4, and if he wants to, he can split that over 2 activations as well, which is really cool. 21 wounds, yeah, he's going to take quite a lot of killing to take down. 5 attacks, weapon skill 2, damage 5/6, relentless and rending. This guy is going to go through stuff. Again, he's got a couple of special abilities. So mind control costs 2 action points. With that, you can take control of an enemy operative. You can't move other than dash, but there's nothing to stop you from shooting, for example, or targeting your opponent's kill team with his own person. So that's pretty nasty. He's also got into Shadow, where he can change his order as well, so if he needs to switch into a different order, he can do. Patriarch's pretty cool, I can see him being pretty nasty. We then got the Primus as well. Again, he costs 2 picks for the purposes of the supplemental ones. He's got some pretty good weapons, and he can do 2 fight or shoot actions a turn as well, making him very good for racking up the tally for the TAC-op that's related to your leaders, getting those points on there. He's pretty cool as well. Once per turning point, you can kind of interact with the priority roll. So you can either add 1 to it, or if you didn't go first last turning point, you can just re-roll it, giving yourself more chance to actually take the turn. So they're pretty cool. I like the Genestealer cults. They kind of capture the flavour and the feel of the lore and how you'd imagine the Brood Brothers to operate. So yeah, really, really like them and looking forward to using them in some games. Now, the other kill team that we've got in the box are the Hernkyn. I think Yaegirs is probably how it's going to be pronounced. These are essentially your pioneers, so the guys that are on the bikes, but they're on foot. These kind of trek out into the frontiers, and they're often the first leagues of Votann that are sent to deal with new locations or strip down kind of planets and assets and stuff. And these are the guys that have been sent to deal with this Tyranid bioship and strip the resources of it. They're pretty cool. You get 10 operatives, you get your Thane, and then 9 normal guys. So there's no funky stuff like the Genestealer Cult with like characters that you're attaching. It's just a more basic kill team. Their TAC-ops, Ruthless Exploitation. Basically, it's all about incapacitating an enemy operative that isn't ready. Bonds of Loyalty is about taking down someone that's taken down one of your fighters. And then Protect Locator Beacon is about restricting enemy fighters from going near specific objectives as well. So lots of fun stuff there that kind of plays into the kind of, I guess, the grudge vibe of them. Now, they themselves do get some cool abilities though, even though they've got no funky army construction stuff. These guys are on the frontiers, they're kind of like the pioneers that are trekking out into the wilderness. So because of that, they're quite quick and scouty as far as squats go. So if you're not using close combat, close quarters rules, so Gallo Dark rules, you can put up to 3 friendly Yaegirs with a conceal order within 2 circles of your drop zone. So that's pretty cool. They can scout out a bit further. If you are playing close quarters, kind of Gallo Dark spaceship missions, 3 of your fighters can do 2 actions each out of a normal move, operate, hash, and dash. So again, these guys can kind of scout ahead and get down the ship for those missions, which is pretty cool. Their other ability that they've got is resourceful. So based on the number of operatives you've still got left, you gain these resource points. So if you've got 6+ operatives, you get 2 resource points, 3 to 5 you get 1, and 0 to 2 you get 0 resource points. Your Yaegirs can spend those resource points to either add 1 to their APL or regain D3 plus 1 lost wound. So really, really good, being able to do lots of activations and healing up your guys when you need them. Really, really quite like that. So if you have a look at the operatives themselves, the Thane is really, he's all about generating more resource points. So in each turning point after the first, if he isn't within engagement range, he adds 1 resource point to your pool. And then if he's ever incapacitated, he's still alive with 1 wound and can't be incapacitated for the rest of that turning point. So they're quite resilient and hardy, which is pretty cool. And obviously you could use those resource points to then heal them up as well. So really quite cool. The Bladekin, very similar to the knife fighter that we saw for the Genestealers. He can charge out of conceal, and if he is incapacitated in a fight, he gets to hit back with 1 of his dice as well. So pretty aggressive. We've got the Bombast, which is our kind of dual pistol guy. This guy's pretty cool. He gets a free shoot action, but he's at the very start of the firefight phase before anyone's activated, which is pretty cool. In addition to that, if you take somebody out with his pistols, you roll a d6 to everyone who's visible within circle of the target that's been taken down. And if you beat their APL, you subtract 1 from their APL. So with this, if you've got someone who's nearly dead and you can take them out with that start the firefight phase kind of shot and then reduce the APL of everyone nearby, makes him really quite an effective operative. He's quite cool. You've got your gunner. He's pretty cool. If he stays still, he can opt to re-roll all the dice results of a picked number. It's a bit of a wordy way of saying it. It's not a true kind of re-roll everything, but what you can do is roll your dice and say if you've rolled, I don't know, 3 1s, you can say you want to re-roll all the 1s. So it does very much depend on what you roll. You know, if you roll lots of the same number, it's great. If you roll everything with a different number, it's less as effective. But I guess it's a more swingy way of having just like a reroll mechanic on them. And again, he's got some decent weapons with some different options on there too. We've got the Ironbreak. This is, I guess, another mirror of the demolitions expert that we've got for the Genestealers. This guy lays mines. His mine tokens are double-sided, so you can kind of, some of them will just be blank on the back, so they're just a dummy for psychological effect. Some of them are live mines, and when anyone goes near it, they take 3 mortal wounds. You roll a d6, compare it to the save, and if it is over the save characteristic, if they're under the save characteristic, you take a number of mortal wounds equal to the dice result. That mine then stays on the battlefield ready to go off again. So yeah, pretty cool, quite like him. Not quite as impressive as he dies and everything blows up, taking 2d6 mortal wounds, but this is probably more effective in the fact that it stays on the battlefield. You then get your Riflekin, who is a sniper. While he's in cover with his cloak, he can either retain an additional dice as a normal save, or he can retain a critical save. So again, pretty decent sniper. You've got the tracker then as well. He's got like night vision goggles on, and with those, targets cannot be obscured and are treated as having an engage order within Pentagon. So he's pretty cool. They've been able to spot targets and stuff, so maybe you send him out ahead to deal with those things that are concealed and hiding in cover and obscured, just to deal with them before they cause any problems. And then you get your basic warrior. They're just your common grunts. They've only got a group activation of 1, so you can only be activating 1 of these at a time, but they're pretty hardy. So yeah, I really like both of the warbands here. Really quite fun. The Genestealer Cult appealed to me more, with all the crossfire mechanic and the fact that you can take some other kind of supplemental characters as part of your kill team too, which is pretty cool. But the Pioneers, not the Pioneers, the Yaeger are pretty good too. Now, like with the other books this season, we do get all the rules for the Beta Decima kill zone. Unfortunately, I think these are still out of stock on Games Workshop. They were out of stock when I was reviewing the last book in this series, so it's been a bit of a shame that they've not been more available over the run of this season. I hope that next time round there's more stock for that kind of stuff, because this is really a key part of the game, having the scenery and being able to play through the missions in here. You can of course substitute the missions for your own scenery, but I guess kind of the point of these, there's going to be a season set each within a different kill zone, is really about being able to capture the feel of that environment, and you kind of lose that by not having the Beta Decima set. Obviously we get rules for the plasma generatoriums. One thing to shout out on this, the instructions suggest you stick the steps in place. Don't do that. They can be left as a separate piece and just slotted on and off when you need them. Some of the missions, as we'll see in a bit, do require the generators to be stacked double size, like one on top of the other, and with a ladder kind of randomly sticking out, it doesn't look quite as effective. Let's say the missions are really cool, but again, it is very much dependent on having that scenery. Without it, I think you do lose a little something, which is a shame. But yeah, that's a really cool box. I've painted up the Genestealer Cults and the scenery, and Jay's painted up a few of the Leagues of Votann as well. So let's have a look at the painted models before we finish out this review. So yeah, I really enjoyed painting up the models in this box, particularly the scenery actually, if we have a quick look at that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I've actually glued the stairs to these, which is a bit of a shame because you don't need to, they can be removed, and by the time I'd realised it was a bit too late and they'd already kind of bonded with it, which is fine. I'll probably pick up another one of these scenery kits when they're available separately. I really hope that they're available separately at some point, because they're really, really nice kits. Now I've gone for a quite simple scheme here, kind of sprayed it a primary colour, painted in some of the details, and then gone to town with some weathering. I think for this kind of thing, you can easily do that and knock out scenery quite quickly, and they look quite effective on the battlefield too. They do, if we can fit it in this thing, stack, but obviously if you leave the ladder on, it looks a little bit odd with them stacked. But for games of 40k as well, they make quite nice scatter terrain, and I think they look quite nice, similar to the, I guess, size to the Monitorium containers, but with a bit of a different flavour, so your battlefield look a bit different if you've got a few of them. And like, you know, if we put the size of a model compared to one of them, they are quite tall as well, so offer some nice line of sight breaking as well. So put them to one side. Jay has painted up the Leagues of Votann models as well, and they're pretty nice models too. Obviously you've got the kind of like heavy trench coat vibe, while still having the kind of feel of the Pioneers and the like. So he's been working on these guys, and I think he's tempted to expand his Leagues of Votann army. Hopefully at some point in the future we get a new book for them. But yeah, these models are really quite nice. And there's a few, you know, distinct different operatives as well, which look really cool. I, however, have been working on the Genestealer Cults. I've got a big Genestealer Cults army, and obviously we've got the new 40k Genestealer Cult book on the way. And I was really impressed with this kit. So obviously it uses the basic Cadian sprue, but there's enough kind of parts on that Genestealer sprue to make these guys look quite unique. If we look at, say, the Commander, the I guess the conversion from the standard Cadian kit is a lot more kind of overt than the old one. You've got like that Genestealer kind of arm coming out of him and the more sinister looking face. They look really, really cool. This guy's one of my favourites too, the Veteran, where he's got his kind of Genestealer arm holding his shotgun. Again, looks quite different than the standard Cadian model. Some of them, like the standard kind of Trooper, are more human looking, and it's only when you look close at the face and stuff they've got some kind of Genestealer vibes to them. But that's good because it gives you a good distinction on the battlefield of, you know, who your various operatives are. But yeah, they look very, very nice. Now obviously we'll see in the new Genestealer Cult Codex what kind of a Brood Brothers army you can run. I can see these kits being quite popular for people wanting to put together a you know, a very Genestealer themed Brood Brothers force. Yeah, this guy with the bomb's really cool as well. Yeah, I've not painted any Genestealer Cults for a long time, so it's been nice to revisit these guys. I busted out the classic scheme that I did all my old ones in, and yeah, really happy with how they turned out. Obviously you also get the full characters assortment as well, so the Patriarch, the Magus and the Primus as well, which I've completely forgotten to bring with me while I'm filming this, so I'll stick some images of those in as I finish this section. But yeah, really, really cool models, and I'm looking forward to painting some more Genestealers. But yeah, that's our look at the new Kill Team Termination box. Really, really nice models, really nice terrain. Again, same as the last box really. I'd score this higher if the terrain set was more readily available, because I do think it is really a core part of this season, and I kind of miss the initial box each season having that packed in with it rather than it being a separate purchase. I get there's pros and cons for both of them, but I wonder if that'd mean that there's more kind of availability of it, and I really hope that the terrain and stuff is more available as we go into the next season. Now the next season, there's rumours are it's going to be kind of flying based. It's all around kind of Vespids and stuff like that buzzing around, and I'm interested to see what they do from a scenery point of view. Obviously we've gone from the initial release being kind of battlefields with you know, relatively dense scenery, to the Gallowdark stuff where we're fighting in close confines on spaceships, to Beta Decima where it's more kind of platforms and water and kind of areas where you can't go. It'd be interesting to see what they do for the next season. I'm hoping there's more verticality, and that's the kind of gimmick this year. If you imagine the kind of terrain that we had in the original Necromunda, where we've got multiple levels that we're fighting over, that'd be quite cool for something that interacts with lots of flyers, but obviously we're just guessing at this point. I don't know any details, but it is interesting to see what will come. I do think this is a really cool box. The models are really nice. Again, if you don't have the scenery set, you're going to get less value from this one, because most of the missions, you know, all of the missions are designed for that scenery. You're going to have to kind of swap it out and maybe alter the mission even if you haven't got that stuff. If you do have the scenery set, then you know exactly what you're getting into. More missions here, both of the kill teams, and some really, really fun stuff. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this look at Termination. I do have a full write-up of this over on spruesandbrews.com as well, so if you do want to learn a little bit more about how the kill teams play and have a look at some kind of painted images of the various fighters too, make sure to check that out. But yeah, until next time, have a great weekend. Hope you've enjoyed the content. If you do want to support the site, we do have an affiliate link to Element Games in the description as well. Anything that you get through that does go to supporting the site. all the running costs and running the website and everything, and to help the almighty algorithm. If you do like this, if you like and comment and share and subscribe and all that usual stuff, really does help the channel as well. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this kill team video, and we'll see you soon.